Right, sorry about that. I didn't actually set up the camera to show you what I'm working on. Um, this area here. So I'm going to paint this shortly, but I have to sand it all down, and I'd like to get a coat of this nice gloss paint on, work my way around to this side. Don't know if I'll be able to do that today. Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. Thanks for joining, and this week I'm trying to get a bunch of tasks done, specifically this part of the doghouse, which I haven't really touched ever since we owned the boat. Just in front of the doghouse and on our way down the companionway, there's this area to the left and to the right, and this had plants and things on it that I've been keeping, so I want to beautify it a little bit, paint it and make it a little bit more durable. Then this area, which is where we installed the cleat last week, I don't really get a chance to show you, but I'll show you now quickly. I found some footage of how I drilled the initial holes and put the paint down so that it was ready. This is now after I'd already drilled the holes and filled them with thickened epoxy, so this is me widening the thickened epoxy bits. I eventually did refill this. I didn't like that there were still some gaps in between, and with the weather being a little bit dodgy and a little bit cold, it didn't set up as well as I'd wanted, so it was still mucky in the middle. So I drilled it out and refilled it. So what you saw me do last week was the end of that process with my dodgy camera. So it turns out I did have some footage with a decent camera. In case you were wondering, the initial holes are 14mm, and then I drilled 10mm through the middle of that, so I should have enough gap along the sides of the hole to protect it from any kind of moisture buildup. And this is another test piece. I wanted to see how well the top coat would work. This is Interthane 990. It's what I've been painting in Doghouse, and it's what's going to go on the deck eventually. And on top of this I will put something, probably Interdeck, some kind of non-skid. And now back to present day. So I like the way that looked. I think it worked really well. So the cleat is in, so it's time to start painting. I make my way pretty much all the way to the front. I haven't gone to the very peak, so where the anchor will be and where the windlass is, that area needs to be dismantled somewhat before I can paint that side of the world. I do think I'm probably going to need to do some heavy sanding and fairing there as well, like I've done all over the deck so far. This area is good enough. I'm happy with it. I'm hoping that when I do put the non-skid on, that it will make the deck look a little bit more flush. I can keep going. I can keep adding more and more and more fairing and try and get it to be as flat as possible. But since the initial repair of the deck, which should have been rip everything out, cut out the core and make a new deck, I didn't get that choice because when I got the boat, someone had poured epoxy over the whole deck and glassed it. So I decided just to run with that theme and build it up layer by layer and create a sealed off deck. You can still see there's some wavy bits. It's not as bad as the port side, and I think I showed you the port side last week. On the port side I will do more fairing and make it look better than it is. But I'm happy with this for now. You know, we can certainly sail around the world with this. We don't need it to be super perfect. I think it will suit. It suits the look. and definitely suits my budget. Not so bad for a first pass. And now the doghouse. So same paint, Interthane 990, I think you saw in the last doghouse video. Um, I'm also taking the opportunity to paint the backboard and mount for Mistress, the other boat. Whilst I'm here, I may as well get a coat on so that I can mount that soon enough and get that boat ready for sailing and for selling. So that should be anytime soon. So this would be the second coat on the port side of the doghouse. The other side that we'd already done looked pretty decent. I gave it a very, very light sanding, I think with a 250 grit sandpaper. Went lightly over it just to create a keyable surface, and now it is the second coat. I may do a third coat, but we'll see how it looks. This will get some coverings initially just so that it doesn't get mucked up. You'll see that later in the video, and then we'll get some nice cushions made up. Carolyn will get on that as soon as possible. Port side, same thing. Last time you saw me paint this was after this was glassed and fed, and that was with the primer. This is now the top coat, and it's the first top coat on the starboard side. You'll see that despite the look of it, I've been walking in and out of there, so you drag things over and make marks and scuff marks from your shoes and from the marina in general. So though it looks dirty, it is flush. It has been sanded lightly and it's ready to accept this paint. It never ceases to amaze me just how good everything looks with a first coat of paint on. Almost like a professional. I'm far from that. Alright, now that we have a very nicely painted surface, I don't want it to get all mucked up. So I got some of these rubber mats, since it'll take a couple of days for this to dry out properly. Too far paints are like that, and we'll probably end up still having to do a little bit of sanding potentially just to get it a little bit nicer. I see so many imperfections now, which is always the case when you paint something. When you do a final coat, you realize just how bad everything actually does look. But I think this will make things look a lot better, and I can actually stand on here without wrecking anything, and I think that is my main goal. Don't wreck anything. So it's just long enough to fit here, and I think, should I do a little rounded edge? I think so. We have gone through all this trouble, we may as well make it pretty. Let's see. I think that looks good. Right, let's do the other side. Same thing on this side, although I think that side for some strange reason is a little bit shorter. How bizarre. Alright, let's go. I mean, this is good. Now it won't wreck as I climb in and out. Awesome. And that'll be it for this week. Thank you so much for joining, everybody. I'll see you next week. Like, comment, subscribe, and see you then. Bye.